Alright, I think we can get started. Welcome to the stream. Figured I'd do some work on Thrall, and I haven't done a game dev stream in a long time. I've been mostly just doing my Hades stuff on my other channel, Strack Red. Figured let's change that and actually stream some development today. I have an idea that I want to work on, so I figured, you know what? Let's boot up the stream and see what we can do. Okay, alright, looks like everything's coming through. Looks like everything's all working, so let's make this work. Okay. I am wanting to make a quick little change to Thrall. There is an item, there are 4 legendary items in the game that I want to replace. These ones here. The Sunstone is one of them as well, but that's not actually a legendary item, that's a plot device item. But the Ruby, the Sapphire, the Amethyst, and the Emerald are 4 legendary gemstone items that you can get that will replace the element of whatever the equipped weapon is that you have. Now the thing about that is it will remove any existing elements and then replace it with the new one. But I don't like how this works. The UI and the interface for this is really... It's really basic. It doesn't really fit in with the rest of the other UI elements in the game. I would like to change that. And I've been working on this shard system where you can use shards that you get as part of the as a unique reward for engaging with the pain system, where you can augment weapons and armors with these shards, and I have legendary shards that have specific unique effects. My thought is, let's replace these legendary gemstones that replace an element from a weapon and turn them into legendary shards that can add an element to a weapon. And then you can later extract the shard to remove the element and put it into a different weapon if you want. For one, it's going to make it so that instead of a single-use item that only works on a single weapon, it's one that you can extract and use on multiple different weapons. It also prevents the any existing elements from being replaced or removed. The other thing about that is that it's going to be a little bit more challenging to obtain, because you do have to engage with the pain system, and it has to be a specific boss drop, but also it will... it comes with a cost as well, which is that if you're using a shard to add an element to a weapon, you cannot then use a different shard in addition to that. So there's some pros and cons to it, but I think that overall it's going to be a much more beneficial, just a more beneficial way of actually making this system work. So with that in mind, there's a couple things that we need to do. The first thing that I'm going to need to do is make sure that I actually have all the animations that I need for this. And if I need to add more, I will add more, but I will do that later. I'm not going to actually create the animations here on stream, because I find that boring and tedious. I'm not going to subject you to that. But what I am going to do instead is I'm going to write the code for this and actually make sure that this system is all actually working and in place. If that doesn't take too long, then we may transition that into doing some map work as well. But for now, I want to make sure that I can get the system in place. So, the first thing that I need to do, you know what? Let me actually bring up my folder for Thrall here, and I'm just going to create a no, let me do it this a different way. I'll just put it in the to-do. Okay, I've got a bunch of stuff here, but I am going to make a note of all the... I might actually not even need to do that, but I'm going to make sure anyway. So the first thing I need to do is I need to make sure that I have enough animations for every combination of elements and weapon types that could exist, which is not actually that tough to do. The only thing that I do need to keep in mind with that is that there are 2 weapons in particular that have dual elements. They are the only two weapons in the game that do this. We've got the Gehenna, which is a mace that has both fire and shock element, and the Aphrodite, which is a mace that has ice and weak element. Those are the only ones that are going to be a little bit complicated with this. Other than that, there is also the fact that Mel can use both. She can basically give an element to any weapon just by using a burst technique. So if she's got fire, ice, and shock burst, she could use ice burst, and then with her chaos skill, her equipped weapon will then have ice element until she uses a different technique. So because of that, I do need to make sure that I factor that in as well. Now I'm also going to have to make sure that I update how Chaos and Damon's Poison Blade ability are processed when it comes to changing the weapon animations. So, let's start here. Let's go with blunt weapons first. So we got physical, fire, ice, shock, and weak. That's fine. Where is the weak animation for blunt? We got blunt sunlight as well. Yes. And we have combinations here. So fire and ice, fire and shock, fire and weak, fire and sun. And we actually have specific animations for other ones as well. Okay, yeah. Yeah, okay, so I think what I'm going to do, let's actually just start by putting the shard system in place first. That's probably the best place to start, and then we can figure out what we're going to need after. Okay, shard interface, here we go. So, first thing I want to do, I'm going to need to make some new shards. And the best way I can do that is actually, let's just create those right now. So I'm going to make these the last 4, and then I still have 2 more that I'm going to need to make as well. So the first one here for the fire element, I could just be boring and call it fire, ice, shock, or weak shards. I'm going to give them a little bit more creative names though. I'm going to call this one a burning shard. For ice, I'll call it the freezing shard. Shock element, we'll call it the static shard. And then the weak shard, we'll call it the toxic shard. And for a description, I need to make sure that I keep with a similar verbal structure here. So attach to a weapon to grant fire element and burn status. There we go. And we're going to do that for all of these. Grant ice element and freeze status. Shock element and seize status. And then for the toxic shard, it's not an element, it's just a status, because the status is powerful enough on its own to grant weak status. Okay, now that's good. I am going to just make sure that I name these elements, because this is what's going to be used as an identifier to determine whether or not those shards are actually inserted into those weapons. And then I actually need to create weapons that have those elements as well. So basically what this does, RPG Maker VX is a very weird quirk where if I just try to add or remove an element from a weapon, it breaks, and I don't know why. But what I can do is I can compare it to a weapon that already has that element and then add that weapon's element set to the currently existing element's weapon set. So what I do is I'm creating a template here that has the element, quote-unquote element, that basically determines whether or not that shard is inserted. This won't actually change the weapons element to give it the elements that we're looking for, but what it will do is it will allow us to determine whether or not that shard's inserted. Okay, that's a good first step. So over here now, we're going to add the names of the shards that we are creating. So burning, freezing, we just need the first word in the name, static, and toxic. And this is specifically items that have that as the first word in their name, and I just want to double check. I'm fairly certain there aren't, but we need to make sure that there's no other items that have those as the first word. No, we've got fire, ice, shock, and weak, but not burning, freezing, static, or toxic. Nope, that's good. Okay. So now what we're going to do, we're just going to scroll down here, and this is where we're going to actually implement this. So what we're going to do, we're just going to copy this little bit of code here, and if this is where we're going to actually implement the unique special effects. So for burning shard, if we're going to insert a burning shard into a weapon, what I want to do, the item's defense, this is basically the weapon that the item is being inserted into. The defense stat is unused, which means it's an empty field that we can store data in. That's what we're going to be using then to determine whether or not a shard has been inserted, and we're going to use that to store data that we can then revert to when we extract the shard. What we're going to do with this is I'm actually going to store the item's previously existing animation ID. And using that animation ID, when we extract the shard, we'll then be able to determine, one, what elements it had prior to a shard being inserted. That way we don't delete elements that we aren't supposed to. But also for weapons that have unique animations, like the Aphrodite or the Cosmo, we can revert it back to its original animation without it breaking the weapon. So what we are going to need to do is item defense is equal to item dot animation ID. I do believe that is the correct... Let's just actually take a look. Make sure that we know what we're doing here. Base item, yep, weapon. Animation ID, yep, animation underscore ID, all lowercase. That is going to get stored in the item defense stat so that we can draw from that later. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the element set of weapon number 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. So weapon ID 545 is this one here. Adding that element will basically give us an identifier that this shard, this specific shard, has been inserted to that weapon, so that when we extract the shard, we know which shard to recreate. Good, okay. This is also, however, where we need to make those other changes. So, what we're going to do is... I wish I could expand the size of this window. Sadly, RPG Maker VX does not let me do that. Don't use RPG Maker VX. It is an old engine, and no one should ever make anything with it. I am married to it, and so, you know, till death do I part, but don't use VX, it's terrible. Use MZ or MV or Game Maker or Unity or Godot or it's literally anything but RPG Maker VX. Okay, so we've set the animation ID to our defense set to the previous animation ID. That's good. We have added the element to make sure that we are able to identify what shard has been inserted into there. The second thing we need to do now is if item.elementSet.include. I'm going to double check to make sure what elements we're actually checking here. So if the element set includes element 6, which is fire, then we do not want to add that again. which means we can actually just do this. Now I'm going to have to be careful not to touch my number pad, because that's where my hotkeys are to control the stream. But it should be fine. Okay, so if the item element set does not include element 6, which is fire, then we are going to add that element as well as the status, the associated status, to this weapon. So what we're going to do is we're going to go item.elementSet. No, not push. This is, again, where we need to compare it to an existing element set, because if we push, then it breaks. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. But that is what happens. But fortunately, I have presets for that already, which is right here. So weapon ID 501, we're going to add the element set and the status application set from that weapon to this weapon. So 501, that's our burn template. .element set, and we're going to do the same thing for the state set. State set is equal to item.stateSet of data weapons 501.stateSet. There. And that there should add fire and burn status to a weapon when we insert the shard, if it doesn't already have it. The next thing we need to do is actually determine what the animation ID currently is, and update it to include change the animation ID to one that has the previous element applications plus fire. Now that I might do a little bit later because I don't have those animations already established. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that later. So before we go too much further, I'm going to test this, but I do also need to make sure that I get the code in place for extracting this. So here it is. Okay. So the shard ID that we're looking at right now is 195. Hold on a sec. Oh, no, sorry. The element ID that we're looking at is 35. So 35 and 5... Where did it go? There it is, 545. 35 and 545. So we're going to go back here. What this is going to do... Sorry, I actually think I did mess that up. Yeah, it should be 195. Because... Yes, that is the shard ID. That's the item we're going to be creating when we extract the shard. When we look at... When that item that we're extracting the shard from has the element ID of 35. Okay. The next thing we need to do... Okay, when 30... Here we go, okay. Oh, no, hold on. It should be right here. When 32... No. When 35. So this is... what we're looking at here now is when this gets extracted, what other operations do we need to do other than just... Yeah, what other actions do we need to do? So we currently have the animation ID stored in the item defense. So before we zero that out, we need to extract that data and we need to actually make it so that the animation ID is reset. So item.animation ID is equal to item.defense. There we go. And I believe that's all we need to change there. And then we also need to remove any elements from this unless the currently existing animation, or the previously existing animation ID includes that element as well. So again, because I don't have those animation IDs all set up just yet, I'm going to just stick with removing the element, regardless of what happens, regardless of what its previous stats were. And then I can look at correcting that as we go along here. So let's start with, we are going to go item dot element set. This is where I actually want to double check what I did with my common events for this. So let's go with this. Yes, so with this one we don't necessarily need to compare it to an existing one, we can just delete it. So we're going to delete element set 6 and state set 1. Because the element 6 is fire and state set 1 is... sorry. State set 2 is burning. So item.element set.delete 6 and item.state set.delete 2. Now, this is not going to work exactly the way I want it to. I will fix that in a moment. Basically what this will do is it's going to say, okay, you're extracting the fire shard, it's going to delete the element because of that. What I want it to do is I want it to keep track of what elements it had previously and restore them. So for example, if you insert a fire shard into a fire weapon, why you would do that I don't know, but if you then extract it, it shouldn't delete the fire element because it was a fire weapon already. But that's okay to start. Let's get this functional first, then we can refine it, but let's test it to make sure that it works first. So I need to, in the loot module here, I do believe I've got this already, yeah. Let's add 195 to our epic items. We'll open up a debug chest and spam it until it gives us a burning shard. Turn the background music off because we already have music playing. Okay, let's test this to see if this works. If it decides to load, it might not. I'm going to try reloading this because something clearly isn't working. I don't know why. Might just be Linux. There we go. Okay. Let's just expand the window size so you can see what's going on here. Okay, first things first, let's open up our debug chest, and we're looking for a burning shard. There's one there, perfect. Okay, so attach to a weapon to grant fire element and burn status. What we're going to do is we are going to attempt to do this with a couple of things. We'll try it with each of our existing weapons, and then we'll also try it with this Gehenna, because it already has burn status and fire element. We will see what happens when we insert the shard and extract it. My guess is it will delete that element. It shouldn't. Well, no, it should, but by the end of what we're working on here, it shouldn't. That's what we want to avoid have happen, but I expect that will happen the first time here. Okay, so we're going to take the burning shard, we're going to insert it into the offensive rock, let's see what happens. Perfect, okay, and you can see there, it's got that fire element, and if we extract it, okay, so it removes the fire element, and we now have our burning shard again. Let me just make sure. Yeah, nothing else changes in the weapon's stats, so that's good. Now, I want to double check this as well. We're going to take this weapon, we're going to actually test it on a training dummy, and see if it actually is using fire element. Now, my anticipation is that the element set, like the animation ID, is not going to change. No, the animation ID is still that of a non-elemental sword, but it should inflict burn status. Yes, it does. So that means that that shard is working. We now have something where we can insert a shard into the sword and give it an element that it didn't have previously. I want to make absolutely certain... Yeah, as soon as I remove that, it says it removes the element. Let's just make absolutely certain that it's removing the state set as well. Otherwise, I may have messed something up. So if I use Flurry, it should not ever inflict burn status, and it does not appear to be doing so. No, I think we're good. Okay, so that functionality is all good. Now all I really need to do is make sure that when I insert the shard, it actually updates the animation ID as well to indicate that it does have burn status. But let's see what happens if I insert it into this Gehenna. Okay, so it did not add any elements, that's good, but if I extract it, yeah, it did exactly what I thought it would there and deleted the fire element. So we need to make that stop happening. Now the way I actually want to do that is based on animation ID. Because we've stored the animation ID of the weapon prior to the shard being inserted in its defense stat, because it's an unused stat. And then when we extract the shard, we set that stat back to 0. But what we can do is that using the animation ID, we can then determine what elements the weapon already previously had. And when we revert it, we can then determine which elements we actually need to remove and if we want to retain it. So, first things first, now we actually... This is maybe the slightly boring part, but it's the part where I actually need to figure out what element animations I have for certain weapons. So, let's go back to our shard interface. And we're going to go back up to the part where we insert the shard, what it does there. Okay, so right here, this is where I actually want to change the animation. And this might get tedious. I might need to... Ooh, no, that's not going to work, is it? I mean, it will, but ooh, that's going to be some seriously bloated code. I wonder if I could maybe create a separate function for this, instead of doing all of this in a case statement. I might be able to. I think that might be the better way to go, is create a separate function specifically for this, because then what I can do is, instead of duplicating it for every single shard, I can make it so that you instead pass in values. So it's like, okay, what is the element that you want to add or remove, and then what is its existing animation ID? And then I can do that for the fire, ice, shock, and weak shard, instead of duplicating the code for all of them. Yeah, I think that's going to be the better way to do this. So let's go up here. And let's actually go down here. Okay, so let's go def change animation. And the values we're going to be passing in are the previous animation and the element. And what that's basically going to be is the previous animation ID, which we will then use to kind of get a list of which elements are assigned to those IDs, as well as the element that we want to add to the new element. And actually, let's throw in one more parameter called remove. And if this is true, this will be Boolean, then we are removing the ID. We're removing the animation, the element, and reverting it back to the old animation. If we are, if it is false, then we are adding the element. Yeah, that should work. Okay. So what we're going to need to do here, the end result of this is that we want to return the new animation ID. Yeah. yeah, we want to, basically what we're going to do is back up here. Where did we leave off? Here we go. Up here, we're going to say item.animationID is equal to change animation, and we're going to say item.defense, because we've already established that that's the previous animation ID, and I don't really want to pass in the variable that we're trying to change as a parameter. So that's the previous animation ID. The element would be element 6, because it is fire. And we are not removing the element, we are adding it, so we're going to say false. So that there should update the animation ID when we run this method with those parameters. And then we can use this for all 4 elements that we're adding, as well as when we're removing the animation. So, back down here, let's actually take a look at this. So, alright, it's still going to be a lot of code, and I don't know if it's going to be... I don't know if there's a more effective way of doing this, but this is the only thing I can think of right now. Basically making a like a catalog of every existing weapon ID and comparing it to, well, the existing ones that can actually be feasibly changed, and then changing it based on what the above parameters are. So what we will want to do is create a case statement, case previous animation, when, let's say it's ID 1, we will then compare, say, like, we'll just go purely hypothetical on this, and I'll update it as I actually get the list of animation IDs. Let's say animation ID is a blunt fire weapon. If it's a, or let's say it's a blunt ice weapon. What we would essentially want to do is say, if remove, we would return, hold on, because we have to factor in the element that we're adding and removing. Sorry, I just want to get a framework for this code before I actually start making it fully functional. Just like this is the order of events that's what's going to happen here. So, yeah, so if you're removing the element, you're going to change the animation to, you're going to, yeah, change the animation based on whatever element you're removing. And if it's add, then you're going to, yeah, if you are not removing the element, then you are going to change the animation based on whatever element you're adding. So let's say it's a blunt ice weapon and we're removing fire element. We would then return... Do we then need to add another case when statement for the elements themselves? Oh, I hate nesting those. But that might just be the most sensible way to do it. Oh god, do we need to do that for every single weapon, though? Oh, that would be brutal. Yeah, I think we do. Oh, that's brutal. There's gotta be a more sensible way of doing that, but this is the... Yeah, I never claimed to be an amazing coder. Here's the thing, I know it'll work. It might not be efficient, but it'll work. So, case element. And there's only... there's only 4 that would actually come into play here. So let's just say, as an example, that the blunt ice element animation is ID 1 and the okay. Okay, so I'd only really need to worry about this if it's yeah, the only time I'd ever actually really need to worry about this is if that element could be removed or added in the first place. If it can't, then I don't need to change anything. But I do need to add a catch-all, because if it runs through all these case statements and it doesn't find any matches with those parameters that you put in, it still has to return something. In which case, what it would return is the same animation ID it had before. So we're just going to say return previous animation at the end of that case when statement. If it returns early, great, then we don't have to worry about it. But if it gets to the end of this method and it didn't find a single thing to return, we're just going to return what it passed in initially, and that will be its assigned animation. Yeah, that should work just fine. Okay. Okay, so this is where I actually need to do a little bit of spiderweb thinking here. Okay, I'm going to start with... Yeah, I'm glad I kind of brought this up. I'm going to make a note of which IDs are assigned to non-elemental weapons. So, blunt, physical. Let's go with the physical... yeah, let's go with the non-elemental IDs first. And I'm actually going to do this in order of the weapons that actually appear. So it's going to be sword, axe, mace, spear, knife. So, sword is 7. The axe is 17. The mace is 1. The spear is 13. And the dagger is 21. Okay, so that's non-elemental. Let's do the same thing for each of the elements singular. And then we'll start getting into the dual and triple animations. Now, there's not many of those. Yeah, okay, so slashing fire is 8. I actually think that this will be even simpler because it's... Yeah, it should be 8, 18, 2, 14, and 22. Yeah, it's the exact same, it's just +1. But I'm gonna make a note of it anyway, because if I don't, I will do something stupid and forget. So it's 10, 20, I'm just kind of comparing this at a glance here. Now the weak animations, that's going to be different. That's why I need to make note of this. 4, 16, love this song. I know it's simple, but it's good. Okay, and now the singular weak animations, these ones are further down. This one is... where is it, where is it, where is it? 95, I think they're all in order. 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, yeah. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there we go. Okay, so these ones we need to make case statements for. Let's get into the... Now here's the thing, how many dual animations can actually exist? On the weapon itself, almost none. There are 2. You can have dual tier animations, like dual elements animations, but those are determined by the character wielding the weapon, not the weapon itself. The only weapons that by default have dual elements are the legendary Gehenna and the legendary Aphrodite. Gehenna having fire and shock, and Aphrodite having ice and weak. So, and interestingly enough, those actually, the Aphrodite has its own specific unique animation So I do want to make sure that I am keeping that in mind. You know what, I should probably make note, and see I have a bunch of dual animations right here anyway. I should make note of sun animations as well. Sunlight is not an element in the traditional sense, but it is an element that plays more of a story. It plays a part into late game story. I don't really want to give spoilers, but it's an element that you can give to weapons for a very, very specific reason. Where are my sun animations? I'm not actually sure. Oh, here they are. Perfect. Okay, so 90. Yeah, 90. Okay, they're all in order. Perfect. 90, 91, 92, 93, 94. Good. And I'm just going to make a note of these so that I know what each of them are. Ice, shock, weak, sun. And I'm just going to make a note of the structure at the top as well, where it's sword, axe, mace, spear, knife. And that's the order that they appear in. Okay. Now, so if we're adding animations, the only weapons that we could add an element to that already have two are the Aphrodite and the Gehenna. So let's make a note of those. I do believe, you know what, actually the easiest way to do that is find those weapons in the database, find their templates, and figure out what their animation ID is. So the Gehenna is 85, and the Aphrodite is 76. I just want to make absolutely sure about that. 85 is the Gehenna, which is really just blunt fire shock. Do I not have that already here? Blunt fire shock. It's exactly the same. Why is that? Why do I have two of the same animation? I have two of the exact same animation. I don't like that. Except I don't. Because I just realized that, weirdly, the Gehenna's animation actually doesn't have the animation of the mace itself impacting, it's just the elements. I actually don't like that, I'm going to change that. So this should just be blunt fire shock. Good, done. Whereas the Aphrodite, that one's a little bit different and I'm okay with that. Because it inflicts weak status and ice element. But it has a little heartthrob animation that goes with it. So I'm okay with that. I will make note of them though. Let's see, fire shock, so 131. I'm just gonna make a note of that one. And then the Aphrodite itself is 76. Okay. Good. Yeah, that's good. So those are the only IDs where you can actually add an element. Yeah, because there is nothing else that has dual element, and that's all the... I mean, even the sunlight ones aren't necessary. I'm just going to bump those IDs down here, because you cannot add an element to a sunlight ID, because we're going to do the same thing with the sunstone. We're going to turn it into a sun shard, and then these IDs are the ones that you would remove the element from if you were to extract the shard, not add an element to those IDs. Okay, let's go back to our script editor here, and this is where we're actually going to... Okay, so if remove, we don't need to worry about that. We're not moving anything from these. Some of them we may need to, but we will get to that. Okay, so I am going to do these in order numerically, but I will have to make a note of which is which. So 1 is physical blunt. Yeah, blunt physical animation. So what we're going to do here is when 1, you actually cannot remove that an element from that, so it doesn't matter if it says remove or add. Yeah, that will never. That's not a situation that can ever happen. But I will add it just in case anyway, because this is not something that should ever happen. And if it does, but for some reason we need to make sure that it does not do anything stupid. What we're going to do here is case element, there we go. When 6, that's fire element. And actually, you know what, let's maybe do this by status instead. I am going to change that, because weak is not an element, it is a status. There we go, okay. So, and 1 is burn status. No, 2 is burn status. So I'll need to do that too. Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go, that makes more sense. Okay. So, case status, when 2, when we are adding fire element to a blunt weapon with no fire element, we are going to return 2, which is a blunt weapon with fire element. So we took a non-elemental blunt weapon and we returned the animation ID for a blunt weapon with fire element. Let's do the same thing for the other elements. So when 3, so that's freeze status, we're going to return, I believe it's just 3. Yeah, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 3. Yeah, that's easy. Okay. When 3, return 3. When 4, return 4. And then let's actually do the same thing for sunlight. So when... now sunlight is also a status, but I cannot remember what the ID is on that. Let me make sure. 45. So when 45, we're going to return the ID for a blunt weapon with sun element, which is 92. Okay. And I'm going to add some comments for this to make sure that I know what each of them is. Okay, the next one here. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this in order of what makes sense in my head, which is gonna be swords, axes, blunt weapons, spears, and knives. Non-elemental to elemental in order of fire, ice, shock, and weak, but I will slot them in so that they're in numerical order within the case statement. So a non-elemental sword is ID 7. And this is basically going to be the exact same as this here. But I need to now update the values that are returned. So a fire sword is 8. Yeah, so it should be 8, 9, 10. I missed one. Yep. We've got fire, ice, and shock status. We do not have weak status, so that's going to be when 5. That is weak status. And a weak element blunt weapon is ID 97. There we go, that's better. And I'm going to make a note of this just for the first one. fire, ice, shock, weak, and sun. At least that way now I know what each of those mean for future ones, future case statements here. So for a non-elemental sword at ID 7, you cannot add elements, so or you cannot remove elements from a non-elemental weapon, so if remove is true, we do not do this and we jump straight down here, but if remove is false, means we're adding the element, so we're going to do the same thing for these. I'm not necessarily going to do all of these today, I'm just going to get this functional so that I can test to see if this is working, and then I will actually add in the remaining shards off-stream when I can do the tedious stuff in my own time. I'm not going to make you sit here and watch that. Okay, so non-elemental sword becoming elemental means we need 8, 9, 10, 95, and 90. Yep, that's fire, ice, shock, swords. 95 is a weak sword, and then 90 is a sun sword. So 8, 9, 10, 95, 90. 8, 9, 10, 95, and 90. Done. Good. Okay, that should work for determining the animation for adding fire element to a non-elemental sword. So we could actually test that right now. Before I do that, though, I actually want to add the reverse. So let's find... It should be 8, I think. Yeah, 8 is a fire sword. And because you can remove fire element from a sword, we do need to add the statement for that. So, it's a fire sword if we are removing... Here's the thing, the only... Now, we don't have to do everything here. There's only one element you can remove from a sword that only has one element. So, it would be if status is equal to 2. You can actually just do this in a single line. Return 7 if status is equal to 2. So 7 is the animation ID for a non-elemental sword. If we have a fire sword that we are removing an element from, the only element we are removing is fire. So confirm that that's the element that we're actually trying to remove, and if it is, then we are going to remove the element and revert the animation ID to that of a normal sword. Why am I doing that? That doesn't make sense. We already know what the previous animation is. That's what this is. Ah, I know why I do that. It's okay. No, because I'm trying to do two things with one method, and that's probably a bad idea. Yeah, I just realized I'm doing something redundant. We are going to remove that parameter. And we're going to remove this and this. We're going to bump that back over. Because if you're removing if all this is doing is updating the animation, which is what the method is saying it's doing, we don't need to check to see if we're removing it because we already have the ID of the previous animation. All we need to do is reset it back to that.
Yeah, I was visualize, right, having directors interested in me and...
Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay.
Saying, you know, I like your work or whatever that is, and
so what we're going to do is we're going to go back up here. Okay, so item animation ID is equal to change animation. This is for if we're adding a fire shard to a weapon, we are going to change the animation ID to the new animation, passing in the previous animation ID and the status that we want to add, which in this case is fire. Now we're going to go back down here, and yep, we've already reset the animation here. Okay, so we should actually be able to test this now and see if this works. It's getting dark in here. Let me turn the light on. There we go. Okay. All right, let me increase the window size so you can see what's happening. So what we're going to test here, we're going to take this non-elemental sword, we're going to insert a burning shard into it and see if it updates the animation. If it does, great. We're going to then remove the shard and see if it reverts back to its old animation. So, just for control, the normal animation is that of just a plain non-elemental, plain non-elemental sword. Good. Let's open up our debug chests until we find a burning shard. There's one there. Perfect. Let's go slot this into this weapon. Oop. Okay, and we're going to insert the burning shard into the offensive rock. Perfect, that gave it fire element. We can see that in the corner of the item card there. Now let's see what happens when we use this sword. It should have the animation ID of a fire elemental sword. And it does. Perfect. And yep, it's inflicting fire damage, it's inflicting burn status, that's great. And let's see what happens when we extract that shard. Is it going to remove that animation or revert it back to the old one? Okay, so it removed the element, that's good. We got that burning shard back. Now if we go over here, and we just attack with the sword, yep, it's back to the animation ID of a normal non-elemental sword. Good, okay. I'm probably going to need to create a separate method for making sure that the elements don't get destroyed when they're not supposed to be. But that can come later. For now, it's doing what we need it to do. Cool, okay. Cool. All right, I'm trying to figure out if I want to... Do I maybe want to wrap this all in one method anyway? Since we're already running case statements to check the animations of the existing weapon, it would trim down our code if we just make the method multi-purpose. But if we do, I want to change the name of it so that we know that it's actually what we want it to do. It's not doing one thing primarily and then it's like, oh, we're just going to sneak something else in there. It's like, I want to make sure that this is named properly so that it's clearly defined as to what this method is doing. It's not just changing the animation, it's not just changing the animation, it's also changing the element. Now we don't need to do the element change here, we can do that up above, because we only need to do it once, really. I will concern myself with that a little bit later. Let's see what I can do with... You know what? Okay, here. This is what I'm going to do. We're going to add the code for a fire sword. What happens if we add or remove something to a fire sword. And then I will wrap that into this same method so that we can get it functional, and I'm going to see if I can make it so that I can prevent the element from being erased where it's not supposed to be. So, the ID for a fire sword is 8. I guess that means I'm going to need that after all, that parameter. And before I forget, I'm going to add that up here, because otherwise the method's going to break. It's going to say you didn't do something that you were supposed to. There we go. Okay, here we go. So if remove, and I should probably adjust that with these as well, make sure, but it shouldn't ever be, there should never be a situation where you are removing an element when it's not supposed to. No, there is. Well, there shouldn't be, but I'm just going to reset this back to how I had it before so that I know for sure that it cannot break unless I tell it to. There we go, good, okay. Okay, so if we're removing the element from a fire sword, then we are going to not change the animation ID because we've already done that. What we're instead going to do is determine whether or not we want to actually remove the element. In remove, it's not going to be, do we want to... I don't like that. Oh, I don't like that. But I don't really see any other way of doing this. Because I can't store two pieces of data in one text field. I've got the animation ID, which is important to store, because that's going to be how we prevent weapons like the Cosmo or the Aphrodite from breaking when we extract shards. But I can't just store whether or not an element previously existed as well. No, I don't know if there's a better way to do that. I think I do have to do it this way. It's a pain because it's... But I don't even know if I can do it that way. Ah! Because if I'm not passing through the item itself, I'm just passing through some parameters to return something that, no, I don't think I can do that. That's frustrating. Well, I don't like what I'm thinking of doing. Because I'm thinking of doing something that could work, but it's bad coding practice. It's really messy. But it would work. Oh, I don't like what I'm gonna do here, but I'm gonna do it. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like what I'm gonna do here. Okay. Well, alright, let's just do it. Okay. So let's say you have a fire sword and you're removing a fire shard from it. The first thing that you want to do is check to see if you're removing the element or not. We are removing it. This is the previous animation, so it was a fire sword. We are removing a fire shard, which means oops. If we are attempting to remove a fire element from a sword that was previously already fire element, we are going to return... I don't want to do this. Oh, this is going to be... This is a terrible idea. What I'm thinking is I'm going to say return false. This is a bad idea, because we're trying to return numeric values based on one parameter and Boolean values based on another. And I could change this to something like 0 or 1 or whatever, but it's the same concept. I'm trying to return something that it's not supposed to... That's not... I'm having a function do two different things at the same time. That's a bad idea. That's bad. Don't do that. That's bad. Why am I doing this? The thing is, it would work, because if the only situation where you'd end up in this part of this branch of code is if you're actually returning, you're basically checking to see, should we revert it back to the, should we remove the element? We're removing a fire element from a fire sword, so don't remove the element. Return false. This is a terrible idea. There's got to be a better way of doing this. I kind of want to go for a walk and hash it out in my brain, but I'm doing this on stream because I figured that would be a good idea. There's a simpler way of doing this. There's a much simpler way of doing this. Yeah, okay, I just thought of a better way. Oh, okay, yeah. We do not need this parameter at all. We are not gonna run this method at all to determine whether or not we need to remove the element. This is just going to be for updating the animation of an existing weapon based on what element is being inserted to what weapon already. What we're going to do instead... Yeah, that... Okay, I know what I'm doing now. Okay. Good. Okay, down here, when we actually are removing that element, what we're going to do is this. We're going to say... we're going to get a list of every existing animation ID that is assigned to an element with a fire weapon. So, let's see, that would be 2, 8, 14, 18, 22, those are for enemy animations, we don't need to worry about that. And a handful of dual animations. So, let's see here, 122 all the way to 142. 122 to 142. Yeah. Okay. So 122 all the way to, I'm just going to say 142.
Choose your fighter.
I actually do need to write these down. 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, 139, 140, 141, and 142. Okay. I'm going to copy that line, and this is what we're going to do. Right here, where we're removing a fire element from weapons, if this array... Let me actually do it this way. Fire is equal to that array of IDs. And I can do it this way. Make it a little bit cleaner. There we go. And if fire.include the previous if it does not include, so basically if the previous animation ID is not one of these ones, then we can remove the element. But if it is, we don't want to remove the element, because we're basically saying don't remove the element if it already existed previously. And the thing is that on its own, that one little solution is infinitely simpler than what I was about to do that made no sense and was bad coding practice. There. Six lines. Done. Easy. And I think we can actually test this right now, and it should work just fine. So let's find out. Probably a bad thing that I'm initializing that array of values every single time I run that bit of code, but it's not like it's something that's going to happen frequently. Okay, we've got a burning shard. I should probably increase the window size so you can see what's happening here. There we go. Okay, we're going to chat with Jafar here. He's going to manage our shards. So, yep, okay, figured I did something wrong. What did I do? It's got two... Oh, because I didn't actually remove the parameter from the... There we go. Done. Problem solved. Okay, we're gonna increase the window size here, find ourselves a burning shard again. Nope. 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 Nope, come on. Oh, jeez. It'd be a lot easier if I could... I could just limit the loot pool so that it only generates burning shards. There we go, there's one. Good enough. Okay, we're gonna test this every way here, and then we're actually gonna try this with a brand new weapon as well. Wait, that's the wrong person. Here we go. Jafar. Manage our shards. We're gonna insert a burning shard into the offensive rock. And actually, we already know that inserting it adds the element. We're gonna try removing it and then see if that did anything there. The other thing is we are going to insert the burning shard into the heated Gehenna, which already has fire element. And adding it did nothing, but if we remove it, now it should retain the fire element. It should not, it shouldn't remove this fire element. That's not good. Oh, I know why though, because this is an old instance of the Gehenna. It's not updated with the previous animation ID. So, for backwards compatibility, we are actually going to make sure that we don't... Yep, 85. We're going to add that to the list of animation IDs. We're going to make sure that we include that. There we go. Because there may be some people who have a demo of this game that... I want to make sure that the any instances of... Like, people can play this game out from the demo and still carry their save files forward when the full release comes. I can't guarantee that that's going to be possible, but I'm going to do everything I can to make that possible. Okay, now that we've added that animation ID to our list here, let's manage our shards and see... Stop it. Manage shards. Okay, now if we insert the burning shard into the Gehenna and we remove it, perfect. It keeps that fire element. That's what we want. I also want to make sure... Let's add it to the rock, remove it, and then I believe the chisel dagger is equipped. I should really add like an icon or something to show like, hey, this is equipped. I'm going to add that to the chisel dagger as well. Is that what Damien has? Yes, it is. Okay, so we've added the shard and removed it from a sword. It should not have fire element, which it does not, but it also shouldn't have the fire animation. If it does, we did something wrong. The chisel dagger has that shard inserted, so it has fire element right now. But it won't show because I haven't added the code for it. And the Gehenna had the shard added to it and removed. It did not remove the fire element, but I want to make sure it didn't break the animation either. So the sword is good. That's good. I'm sorry, did I see that right? Oh, I know why he's doing that. Okay, yeah. No, we're good. We're good. I know what... Okay, so here's the thing. Damien has Poison Blade equipped right now, which means that he's got weak status being applied to his dagger, which means his skills are changing the animation ID based on the elements of the weapon. So he has both fire and weak on his knife animation. Even though we didn't change the weapon animation ID. But if I give this dagger to somebody else, like, say, Lionel, who does not have Poison Blade, so he's not going to update the animation ID, yeah, it should just look like a normal dagger. But if I'm not mistaken... Yeah, it still has fire element. Okay, so I'm going to have to update that later as well. But there we go. Okay, that worked. With that list of animation IDs, now I'm going to update this later, and I may just initialize it once so that we don't have to do this every single time. Although the only time we're initializing this is if we're extracting that one specific shard. So maybe it's actually better to do it this way, because that's a very niche case. Instead of initializing this array for no reason, we just only do so when we need it. It's not like it's that big anyway, it doesn't really contain a lot of data. Okay. Alright, well that's good. I think we've pretty much got everything we need for that. Let's do this for the rest of the shards, and then I will spend more time off-stream updating this method to make sure that it changes the weapon animation ID appropriately. I also need to add some more IDs, I think, but we'll do that later. For now, let's add the remainder of the shards. So, we can basically just copy this 3 more times, 4 times technically, and we're going to do this for the other shards. Okay, so for the freezing shard, same thing, we want to store the animation ID, but the element set we want to copy is actually from weapon 546, which is our ice shard one, and we want to add the element set. Let's see if element set includes 7. Does not include 7. Then we're going to add the element and state set of weapon 501, and we are going to change the animation ID based on the status number 3. So let me double check that. Data weapon 546 and 502, as well as status 3. So 546 and 502. 502 is our freeze, yeah, and then shock and weak are 503, 504. Yeah, okay, there we go. And then, yeah, 546, 547, 548. We're actually going to add one more here, 549, and this is going to be Sunstone. There we go. I called it sunlight before, didn't I? That's not right. It should be sunstone. And I'm actually going to need to add one more item here. Because we're going to be removing this item here later. Okay, sunstone shard. There we go. To grant sunlight status. There we go. And I'm probably going to add some unique custom icons to these, but that can come later as well. That's not a high priority. So 199. I will add those in a moment here, though. Okay. So that should be all we need to change for that. This would be 547. Element set 8. 503. 503. And state 4. Now, the toxic shard's a little bit different because we're not comparing element sets, we're comparing state sets. Just for this line of code here. So 2, 3, 4, 5, there we go. If it does not already include state set 5, which is weak status, I do believe. Yes, status 5 is weak status. And this should be 647, 48, 548. 503, 504. Good. And changing animation ID based on state set 5. This should not say sunlight, it should say sunstone. Let me make sure I didn't... Yeah, burning, freezing, static, toxic, and sunstone. That's the other shard that we need to add. There we go. Now back down here. Okay. Sunstone's a little bit different. We actually don't need to check to see if it has the element already, because it can't. It's literally impossible. This is the only way that it can gain that element. There's no naturally generating elements, weapons with these that don't have a shard inserted. Element set is equal to item in... so this should be 549. And this one is a little bit different. I need to double check this one. Okay, so 549 is the shard element for sure, but this here, let me make sure... Yep. So weapon ID 533 is the element set that we're copying over. We actually don't need to copy over the element set though, just the state set. And I'm realizing we actually can do the same thing for our weak status ones because there's no elements here, it's just the one state we need to add. So the weapon that we're doing is 533 and the state is, I believe it's 45. Yep. 533 and 45. So we don't need to copy over the element set. 533, and we're updating the animation based on state 45. Good. And over here, we do not need that line. Good. Okay. Great, we got it. So that basically is all the implementation we need for the new shards. Next up, let's head back down here and make sure that we have the code in place for removing them. So 35, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to do the same thing for these. Burning, freezing, static, toxic, and sunstone. Oops. Oh, ouch. Okay, that's my knees. Okay. We need to return item ID 196, 7, 8, and 9. And then we need to check data weapons 546, 7, 8, 9. That's all correct. Now down here, this is where things change a little bit as well. So we're going to copy all of this, but I am going to need to make some adjustments. So 36, 8, 9, 7, 8, 9. Okay, let's start with this one here. This is where I need to change the array to include the to make sure that the icon or the animation IDs in here are ones that include an ice element by default. Item.element set delete 7 and state set 3. Let's figure out what those hold on. Whoops, I did something wrong. Yep, that one. There we go, that's better. Yep, that was bad. Okay, there we go. Oh. Ah, okay, my leg is numb. It's sitting kind of funny for the last little bit here. Okay. Set 7, state set 3, good. Let's just do this for all of these. I don't really need to change the names of these, but it just makes more sense in my head to do it that way. 7, 8, state set 4, and the last one here, weak. If weak includes that animation, we don't need to worry about the animation, or the element set, but state set delete 5. And sun, same thing. 45. Good, okay. I do need to get a list. Oh, jeez. Actually, now that I think about it, for the sunstones, the only way that you can have sun element is with the use of these shards, so I don't think I need to... No, I don't need to get a list of these. Instead, I can just delete it. There's no situation where extracting a sunstone shard would not remove the element, because the only way that it can have that element in the first place is if you insert that shard. There's no other source of getting that. So with this one, that one can be a lot simpler. But these three, I need to get the list of animation IDs. So let's do that real quick. Shouldn't take long here. Let's start with ice. Okay. Do I not have word wrap on? I do. Why is that not working? I don't know. I'm just gonna do it this way. Okay. So ice element IDs is gonna be 3. Let's see here. 9, 15, 19. I'm also realizing I could just be looking up. Yeah, 3, 9, 15, 19, 23. And I need to also find all the dual element ones, which would be Aphrodite is 1, so 76, and then the rest are all down here. And that would be, let's see, from 100 to 102, okay, 100, 101, 102. And from, let's see, 112, 13, and 14, 112, 113, 114, 17, 18, 19, 117, 118, 119. 122, 126, 130. 134, 138. 144, and I think that's it. Oh, let's not forget these. Yeah, 142 and 143 as well. Oh, and then there's some more down there. Okay. 142, 143. I just want to make sure here. Okay, what do we got? Those three there, those three there. And 168 as well. Okay, I'm going to need to maybe make some adjustments to those, but I will do that at a later date. So 158 to 160, 158, 159, 160, 163, 4, and 5. And 168. Okay, that is a list of all our ice animation IDs. So that will go right in here. Paste that. Good. Let's just do it. There. I'll even bump that down a bit. There we go. Just so that I can see everything. I think I may have missed some fire IDs, but that's okay. I'm going to be revising this all later. I just want to make sure that I have everything I need for the existing framework, and then I can adjust it later as needed. Okay, so for shock elements, it'll be 4, 10, 16, 20, and 24. That's the baseline. Gehenna is one, that would be 85. I want to make sure that I retain that one so that it doesn't break anything later. Okay, ID 100. 103, 104. 112. 15 and 16. 17. 20, 21. Oh gosh, this one's a mess. 21. Let's see, 123. 127. As soon as I can get the rest of these coded in, I will actually give this a test and see if we can get this working. 135. 139. 143. 145. 158. 161. 162. 163. 166 and 7. And it looks like 168. Yeah, because the Gehenna is shock element. There we go, copy that, and let's throw that in here. So for our shock animation IDs, that's these ones here. I'm almost certain I missed some fire elements. Yeah, there's no way I didn't. But that's okay. We will And our weak animation IDs, this one should actually go a little bit quicker, because there's not as many... that's maybe a lie. Okay, so this is going to be 95 to 99, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, good. This one might be a little bit more condensed. It's not necessarily going to be easier. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, good, okay, 101, 103... 113, 115, 118, 120, 124, 128, 132, 136, 140, 142, 143, 144, 145, and 146. Did I miss something there? I think I did. Nope, that's good, okay. 159, 161, 164, 166, blunt ice Gehenna, nope, that's good. You know what, I did miss one. I missed just the standard Aphrodite, which is 76. So that would be way back here. 76. Try to keep those in numerical order. Okay, that is all our animation IDs for weak weaponry. So we're gonna paste that into here. Scroll back over. There's no way I didn't miss some fire animation IDs. Why do I have so many here and so few? There's definitely some that I missed, but I will work on that another day. Okay. I think we have everything we need here, so all I need to do now, we're going to add 195 to 199, and actually I'm not even going to add 199, we're not going to worry about that one. 195, 196, 197, and 198. Those item IDs we're going to add to that. I'm actually just going to reduce that so that that's the only thing in that loot pool. We don't need to test everything else. I've already tested everything else. Okay, let's give this a test. Let's see if our new shard system works. It will not change the animation ID, but I will do that off stream, because that's going to be really, really tedious, and there's some work I'm going to need to do here. So all I want to do, I'm just going to get rid of all my existing items. Something is not right there. Why is this? What? That's by rarity. This is by type. It's not even display. Okay, there's something seriously wrong here. I think I know what it is. This is not sorted properly at all. I'll deal with that later. I'll fix it while I'm thinking about it, but okay, let's see how this works. So, this burning shard, if I insert it into the rock, gives it fire element. Good, cool. If I remove it, removes the element. Good. The freezing shard, same thing for ice element. Static shard, good. And the toxic shard, good. Next thing is we want to see what happens if we insert those shards into a variety of weapons and elements of the same kind of setup. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to get rid of all my existing weaponry. I need a... Oh, perfect. Here's a fire sword, a weak sword, Let's get a shock sword as well. We'll do this by weapon. Let's see here. Now I've got fire and weak. I need ice and shock. We'll go by swords first. Oh, come on, really? How hard is it to find a shock sword and an ice sword? Apparently very hard. This is just using my debug chest. Here we go, there's a shock sword. There's gotta be an ice sword somewhere in here. Nope. There we go, icy sword. Perfect. Okay, let's test each of these. So, a burning shard. If I insert this into a fire sword and then remove it, it retains the fire element. That's good, that's what I want. For a shock one, good, yep. Weak, yep. And ice, good. Okay, for a freezing shard, adding that to a hellfire, good, yep. Adding that to a shock weapon, good. Weak weapon is good. Now if I add a freezing shard to an ice sword, and then remove it, it retains the element, that's good. And static. If I add that to a shock sword and remove it, it does not destroy the element, that's good. It is adding it where it's necessary though, and removing it where it is not. This is good. This is working the way we want it to. That's perfect. That works exactly how I wanted that to work. Okay, let's try that again, but let's use axes instead this time. I'm not gonna do this for every single weapon type. I can test this a little bit more in my own time. Of course, I haven't found a single... Okay, there we go. There's a weak status axe. It's the same type of axe, but it's fire element, that's fine. You know, just for visual clarity, we'll use this one instead. Geez, I'm finding a lot of devils, I don't know why. I'm gonna take a non-element one as well, just to make sure. And, let's see. What do I need? I've got weak and fire, I need ice. There's one there, polar axe, good. And we need a shock axe. There we go, perfect. It was a lot less painful to find than the swords. And let's see what happens when we add these shards. So, burning shard, if we add that to a petrifying devil, yeah, good. Polar, sure. Overcharge, good. Double, good. And if we add fire to a fire axe and then remove it, it retains that element, good. Same thing with these. Good. Good. And the last one was the polar axe. Yes, no change there. Good. I'll do the overcharge axe with the static shard last. Seems to be adding those properly. Okay, if I add this, it doesn't add any element, and removing it retains the element it had before. Good. And the last one here, petrifying devil. Good, excellent. But it seems to add the element to all the others. Good, okay, we got it, it works. So now we have these new items. Why is it not showing up? Hold on. It says I have 3. Did I? Oh, I didn't remove it. That's why. Okay, so now we have these new items. These legendary shards that you can get by engaging with the pain system that allow you to insert... You can insert these into weapons to give it a new element. It does not replace the old element. I am going to have to remove... So these are the previous existing legendary items that you could just find through any suitable loot source, if you're lucky enough, that changes the element of the equipped weapon. I need to remove these now. Now, my thought is I won't actually necessarily remove them. What I think I'm going to do instead is I'm going to change their functionality. What I may actually end up doing is making it so that these... I have an idea for these. I don't want to voice it out loud yet, though, because I don't know if I'm actually going to do it. But as it stands right now, I need to make these items non-functional, because these are now accomplished with these shards instead. I suppose I could keep them, but I honestly don't want to. But the idea is that this is the pain system, so you can basically adjust your difficulty settings however you want. You can increase enemy damage, or health, or defense. You can give them shielding for an X number of hits, change how boss battles work, make it so that you need to salvage loot in a dungeon to move on, yada yada yada. Basically change the difficulty settings however you want, raising or lowering your pain threshold. And if you are at the threshold and you defeat a boss, based on how large the dungeon is, the boss has a certain percentage chance. I believe it's 3% per floor of the dungeon cleared. So a 10-floor dungeon gives you a 30% chance of that boss dropping a unique shard item. These shards here. The legendary shards can only be dropped on your second playthrough, or your New Game Plus, basically. They cannot be dropped by a standard boss, but on a New Game Plus you can get these legendary shards that will... They can only be inserted into weapons, but they have specific unique effects that are not dependent on the level of the shard. Most of the shards are just going to be stat influencing items, which you can find at any point. It doesn't have to only be on New Game Plus. That is good. While I'm at it, while I'm thinking about it, I want to know something. Why? Okay, I don't have much gold left. Do I have... Yes, I've got tons of stuff that I can sell because I just got a bunch of those items from the debug chest. Yes, I just walked through walls. I'm going to buy a whole bunch of items from Jafari here. What I want to know is why, if I sort these... Oh, now they work. Okay, let's reset this and check this again, because... Okay, if I grab these items, why are they appearing sort of randomly and haphazardly in our list of backpack items? And if I sort them, they don't show up at all. Why is that happening? That shouldn't be happening. If I sort them, why are some items appearing and some items disappearing? It should be sorting them, not making them disappear. I think it has something to do with how I'm identifying those items. So first things first. Oh no. Ha. Okay, I'm gonna ignore this one for the time being. What's the 52, 53, 54? So this MP rate and MP value, I'm just using these fields to determine sorting value for the items. And I need to figure out what my lowest 56. Huh. Okay. So, what's going on here. Let me go to the loot table script here, and find my sorting method. Sort by rarity and type, yeah, okay. From 0 to 56. Ha, okay, something's weird there. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know why some items just are not visible when they are sorted. Give me a second here. No, yeah, that's the backpack slots. That's not templates. The only thing that I can think of is that something changed. No? Nope, that doesn't make sense. Oh. No. No. That doesn't make sense at all. Sort inventory. Where's my sort inventory script? Here it is. Oh, that's gonna be helpful. Okay, display items, here we go. Okay, let me check something real quick. I'm probably gonna call it a stream here pretty soon. I just wanted to get this system in place, but now that it's good, the only thing I want to know is why are those items disappearing when I sort them? Those shouldn't be disappearing. That doesn't make any sense. These ones are fine. These ones just disappear. Let's grab a... yeah, okay. Does it do that here as well? No. So in the inventory it's fine. Sort of. I don't know why these are separated, but I think this is because this is an older save file, and the data within these items is not accurate. If I did this on a newer save file, it probably wouldn't actually cause any problems, and actually let's try that. This might actually be an even older save file, though, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, I think what... Maybe not, actually. Let me take a look. Actually, better idea. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to reset the shops by going into a dungeon and immediately exiting. I think we're good. I think we're back. Yes. OBS Studios says reconnection successful. I think we're good. I think we're back. Yes. OBS Studios says reconnection successful. Sorry about that. Okay, I think I just touched a chord I wasn't supposed to. Okay, so I entered and exited a dungeon. I'm just gonna go... No, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, so we've reset the inventory of the shop. I shouldn't have done that, actually. I should have sold my stuff first. Okay, let's try this again. I think what's going on is that the items that I have in my inventory are from an older save file, which means that their sorting data is corrupted. So I'm going to sell everything I have except for that one item here. This one I'm going to need to be able to escape the dungeon. Let's try this again. Let's go to the Bloodstone Mine. Okay. Let's escape. Okay, actually let me grab some stuff that I can use to sell so that I have enough money to buy a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I would visualize. Yeah,
I don't need much. I'll just, yeah, take whatever I can.
Interested in me and people that I respected.
Let's go chat with Davenport
Whatever that is.
and sell as much as we can. There we go. Now we got tons of gold. And let's test it this way. So the shop is now changed. Oh, he's actually got one of those items that I want to get rid of. There.
For acting services rendered, and I gave myself.
Now, if I go, bleh, nope. Okay, here's my items. If I grab all of these, yeah, there we go. That's right. That's working now. These are actually now appearing in the right order for rarity, and if I sort not by rarity but by type, why don't they appear now? They appear here. They appear in my inventory screen. They don't appear in the loot tables. I think there's something wrong with how I had the sorting set up in the loot tables. And it's, I think... yeah, refresh loot and refresh inventory. So refresh loot, it's dependent on whether we're looking in the locker or a shop or our backpack or storage. So that's armors, that's weapons, and this is items. Sort 5. Where am I setting sort 5? 0 to 56, yeah. Ah, there we go. I didn't update that one stupid number. That one number. Yep, that's it. That's all I needed to do. Changing that one number should fix everything. Hopefully. Okay, so if I sort now, yep, good. Those are not disappearing. And if I grab these and I sort, they should still... yeah, there we go. Okay, fix it. There we go. I just needed to change one stupid number that I forgot to change. Good thing we caught that bug. But I think that's going to do it for today. Implemented the new system. I do need to make some adjustments still, but I'm just going to do that off stream because it's really tedious and boring, and I find it boring. I'm not going to make you sit through that. So I think that's going to do it for today. I put up the right wait screen, right? I did the dev stream wait screen, not the Hades 2 wait screen. I might have done both. Oops. I'll fix it once the... yeah, okay. No, we're good. So yeah, that's going to do it for today's stream. Thanks for tuning in. I'm seeing there's actually a couple people watching, so I appreciate you being here with me. I plan to do more of these dev streams later on once I actually get really fully back into the whole process of game dev again. But my goal is to have this game released probably closer to the middle or the end of 2027. It's not going to happen in 2026. There's just too much to do, and I have too much going on right now to be able to set aside enough time to make this work. But, hey, at least we got a new system implemented, and I'm really happy with the result. So, that'll do it for today. Thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.